And I forgot, I'm your mayor tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, during normal time, I guess, we have an open public forum for those who are interested in. You have 3 minutes to say, I guess, anything you want. Do you want to take the stand?
Yes.
Okay.
Take the stand.
That's what I always do.
Collegeville Township Supervisor. Just wanted to stop in and say that we still are talking amongst Luxembourg and Wakefield Township about joining into some sort of a joint powers agreement with the city for the fire department. What we'd really like to do is get on the agenda for one of the January meetings and form a committee with a representative from the city and a representative from each of the townships and try to talk about options on what we could do and can't do and how things could potentially work and not work. So I just wanted to feed that to everybody so you can chew on it for a while and then we can talk in January to get on the agenda and see what your guys' thoughts are. So this gives you a little time to mull on it and see what your thoughts are. Do some research if you have a chance, so forth. So, thank you.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Craig.
Anybody else? All right. Approval of the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Jan,
I'll second it.
Dave, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All against? Okay. Consent agenda. Minutes, October 27, 2015, to approve the minutes of the October 27, 2015 City Council meeting as presented. Corrected pay for Ryan Schaefer to approve correcting the starting pay for a part-time police officer Ryan Schaefer from $17.67 to $18.24 per hour, which is the first step on a part-time police officer's pay scale. North Point Plat 4 setback amendment to approve the resolution of number 2015-26, a resolution amending the setback requirements for North Point Plat 4. Council, we're looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Jamie?
I'll
Second one,
second it.
we're looking for it? Dave?
Yep.
Okay.
Second.
Any questions? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Have it. Number 5 on our list. Public Works Director report, John Stevie. Okay, first on number 5. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
A, on the Public Works Director report, we're looking for appointment hiring committee for a Public Works Technician 2. Recommendation to appoint one council member, Chris Duckendorf, John Stevie, Ron Fuchs, and Pete Weber, to the hiring committee for the Public Works Technician 2 position. Comments?
Just looking for a committee for that.
No comments, huh? No questions?
I'll volunteer to be on the committee if nobody else wants it.
What?
I'll volunteer to be on the committee.
Okay. But we have a,
No, we're looking for a council member, so that's perfect.
okay. So, Jamie, you're going to take it?
I'll take it.
All right.
All right. Do we need to motion that one?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
And Dave? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Right. Number B we're going to be looking at. Approve Public Works Technician 4 job description. To approve the update job description for the Public Works Technician 4 position. John?
This is just we revised the old job description and made a few changes. myself and Ron all looked it over, and that's what we came up with.
Okay,
Do the majority of the changes have to do with the mechanical side of it?
Mechanical side of it, some different direction from their supervisors, and some skills, different things they're working on.
That was always a Class A, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ron's thought was you should have a license to be able to drive something you're working on,
Okay,
so
okay,
it makes sense.
yep, yeah, it does, I guess.
any more questions on B?
I'll make that motion to approve the description.
I'll
Ken?
second it.
Dave? Any more questions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against? Favor has it. C, Public Works Technician 4, to approve advertising for the hiring of the Public Works Technician 4. That's what you're looking for, is,
This is basically Ron's old position before he became supervisor. It's a position that hasn't been filled since. Just going to require for, basically the skills for that are going to be mechanic skills and the Class A CDL, according to the job description.
a motion again.
I'll make the motion.
Dave?
I'll second.
Any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Papers have it. Now you're on your own.
Some other updates were sludge hauling, just an update on that, completed for the year. Went well with good weather. And then Sean Garding passed his Minnesota Class D water license.
Good.
So now he's certified both in wastewater and water.
Cool.
And then some items to purchase, skid loader tires, $1,050, 50% streets and parks, 50% parks budget, as well as some concrete barricades. And that actually changed from $1,050 to $1,100. But that as well will be 50% streets and 50% parks.
Those barriers, what are they going to be used for, John?
Down by the salt shed, we're gonna basically set up kind of like a landscaping place where we'll have different areas where we can put black dirt or maybe even some salt, some sand, maybe leaf piles and things like that. We're gonna set up different little barriers for them and then maybe pour some concrete eventually down the road, or I don't know what really is down there now for a base to put it on, but it's basically we're gonna make stalls for that stuff. And then also the barriers will be used for like our construction projects and different things.
There's a few of them down there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a bunch. They're like $25 a piece and it totals to $1,100, so
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
44 of them, yeah. So, yeah, and like with the street project next year, on a detour route, instead of putting cones and a wood barricade up where people can get out and move them, we use concrete barriers and they're not movable, so.
Keep them from coming into Cold Spring.
That's right.
Or
Or letting them out.
Or getting
The other.
out, yeah.
Keep going, John.
That's what I got,
All right, and no other then, right?
correct.
Okay. Brian?
Mr. Mayor and Council, just a couple quick updates. Still working on design portions of Red River Avenue. We working with the county yet on a lot of things there. We did meet with Excel Energy and CenturyLink last week on site to discuss the overhead power, some of our options for burying or bringing it from different directions. We're trying to take a little different approach and save the city some money. We might be able to bring from maybe behind some of the businesses, utilize some existing areas and save some money of having to put things underground, because anytime you go underground, the price goes up. And it also trying to avoid some big transformers in the sidewalk. So, otherwise, I think we had, do we have the demolition stuff?
Yep.
Okay, that's coming up, so I won't touch on that yet. Just wanted to give you a quick update. It's not on my report, but County Road, or CASA 58, so the Main Street turn back. Jody was here, Jody Tyke, the county engineer, was here at the last meeting talking about that. She just wanted to, I had talked to her today about some stuff and she's wanted me to remind you that the county will be looking at it on November 24th, approving their resolution After that, it would be coming to the city for approval of the resolution. That was the 60,000 turn back, so it would become our road then. So she just wanted me to check. We hadn't really heard any questions from anybody, just wanted me to check in case there were any questions. They'd like to clear anything up ahead of it going to the county and then subsequently coming to us.
If it gets switched over to the city, then we can create our own rules for that road then, you know. It's like we kind of want to get the semi-trucks off of there and go 23 and then Red River. So now if it's going to be ours, we can actually do that.
We can actually put those kind of restrictions on it, yes.
Okay.
In your experience in the past, is there, when the county comes up with a proposed number, is that pretty much the number, or is there negotiation that happens?
I think it's pretty much the number. They've budgeted this number for a while. Basically what they're doing is they're giving us what they would have spent on a mill and overlay.
Okay.
When I figured it out roughly, it seems like a fair number for what they would give us. The other thing that Jody mentioned is they do calculate that number based on a very large project. The county tends to lump a lot of these together. So if we had to do that exact same project, mill and overlay might cost us a little more, but that they base it off of large projects. But overall, when I checked the number, it seemed like a fair number. And they do just cut us a check. So we're then able to use that or apply it towards the future road projects without restriction, without having to go through like state aid reviews, etc.
Okay.
So the bridge, was that ours or was that the county's?
That's always been ours.
That's always been ours?
Yes. The county inspects it, and I think if there's maintenance to be done, I believe we pay them to do it, is the understanding I had. But it's our bridge.
So in the future, are they still going to inspect that bridge for us or not?
I would believe that the arrangement would stay just the same.
Would stay the same?
And I don't know, I honestly don't know if we pay them to do that. We might pay them a small fee to inspect it. But they have a bridge inspector, they're out inspecting bridges all over anyways. They're experienced with that bridge, they've looked at it for years, so I'd recommend that'd be the way to keep going.
Okay.
So if there's no question, or unless there's a question that anybody wants me to pass on to Jody, or was I able to answer most of them?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything.
I don't have any.
I don't either.
Okay.
Weren't we waiting for a long time to get that road for the city? I was anyway.
They've had it on their plan for a couple of years now.
And the next one might be
158.
158 then, right?
Yeah, and that's not currently on any of their plans. I know when we were doing the transportation plan, we threw a lot of ideas around regarding some of the other roads in town, but none of those are currently on their plan.
2 is always going to stay on their plan.
I believe 2 is always going to stay because of the traffic and the regional significance of 2. It's always going to stay.
Okay.
It's always going to stay a county road, and we're committed right now to doing the project, and they're committed, so that's obviously staying. Otherwise, if there's no other questions on that, I have just a couple updates on the well. The wetland delineation was approved by Stearns County, and I found out today that today the Corps of Engineers gave their approval on it, or their verbal approval. They have to go through the paperwork, which could take a couple weeks, but otherwise the boundary of the wetland that was in the report has been verified by the county and the Corps.
And that wetland is consistent with a workable area?
Yes.
I mean, from what you had...
Yeah, we've already, for the test drilling locations, we've already planned around the wetland, anticipating that's where it would be.
Okay.
And then the test drilling, I think, was the 23rd of November. It's coming up here in a couple weeks.
Talking about wells, the drill rig was alongside of the brewery.
Mm-hmm.
What was that all about?
I just was talking to Brent that day they were out there. Their well against the building there went out, so they were pulling a pump.
Oh, is that what the deal was?
Yep, they have a well over there.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, the test drilling is coming out. Test drilling, they're coming out in the middle to end of November here. We're gonna kind of hit some of the corners of that site just to see what the geology is, and if it turns out favorable, we'll be executing the purchase agreement on the property and moving ahead.
Okay.
But we know the quality of that water already?
We do know the quality. We've test pumped one, we've fully test pumped one well where you really kind of stress the aquifer to see what kind of quantity you're gonna get, what kind of quality. That turned out very positive, so that's why we moved ahead to drill some of these other corners just to see how they are. Want to try and spread the wells out a little bit on the site, just because they have less influence on one another.
So it looks like it doesn't have to be treated?
No, it'll have to still be treated.
Still has to be treated?
Yeah.
Okay,
There's kind of a threshold line there where it's, could become a problem in the future.
okay. So we're going to treat it on site before it leaves the well?
The idea would be we would gather water from all the wells to a central treatment area in that same location, in that same parcel.
Yeah.
So all of those wells would pull into the treatment plant and it would leave from there into our system.
That's going to take a pretty good sized structure or not?
It depends on the type of treatment. If we only have to treat for nitrates and the type we're looking at, I don't think it would be necessarily a massive structure. We're looking at one method of treatment in particular.
Okay.
And what we would do with that structure as well is likely oversize the building in anticipation of future,
And we're going to
Expansion,
acquire
yes.
enough land to
Yeah.
do this? huh?
yes.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
these future tests will help to determine if the treatment plan you're looking at is still the correct one?
Correct.
Okay.
And we make the building a little bigger because maybe in the future we put another well out there, or maybe the water quality changes such that it gets worse that we need additional treatment. It's easy to build extra building now and just leave space for future treatment.
Tying
How
the,
many feet are we from the force main then?
It was like 0.7 miles, I think.
Yeah, from the water, it's from the loop that goes down Greystone Road under
Yeah.
the Sauk River and behind Golden Plump.
So it's how many?
Three-quarter mile.
3/4 mile? Okay.
is there going to be a lot of additional cost at the existing facility to bring that extra water supply in? Nothing major?
One of the things we'll have to do as we go through this is analyze, now that we're kind of changing where our water's coming from, and we might, if the brewery really is going to obviously ramp up and use a lot more water, we're going to want to look at the piping in between there. And we've already kind of identified there might be one little weak point in that system where we would need to put a bigger water main in, but that's something we'll have to look at as we get closer.
How deep's the well?
What are we at, about, I think it was around 100.
Yeah. 80 to 100.
Yeah.
Something like that, 80 to 100 feet.
Okay. Somebody else has some questions too.
Not for me.
All right. Anything else there, Brian?
I have.
All right. Then that'll take care of our number 6. We're going on to 7. We're going to approve the roundabout demolition plans. Resolution number 2015-27. A recommendation is to approve the resolution number 2015-27, a resolution approving a county project within the municipal corporate limits of Cold Spring, and to acknowledge that the city is responsible for half of the estimated total demolition cost of $74,949. Okay? Questions?
Brian, explain what we're,
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're looking at, I think the plans were in your packet as well. It's the 3 houses where the roundabout is gonna go. So the county is doing a separate project apart from the road project to remove those 3 houses because we can get in there sooner. They're out of the way for construction. So the costs really there are to demolish the houses or to move them off site. So that's really gonna be up to the individual people, contractors who bid on this. It's also, they were through looking at, for hazardous materials, asbestos, et cetera. They were in there yesterday and today. In a couple weeks, we'll have those results back, so that this number could fluctuate. If we find a ton of asbestos, it's gonna raise the price. If there's very little, the price could easily go down. So it also involves shutting or disconnecting some of the city utilities, the water and sewer, and then completely removing the house, the foundation, etc.
Electricity has been disconnected already, right?
I believe so, and I think gas was in there,
Yeah,
going to be in there.
gas is in there already too.
And then they fill up basically the holes that are left and
They'll
level
remove
the
the
site off
concrete and
and,
level it off.
okay.
So the houses still could be moved besides being demolition did?
Yeah, and that's up to the contractor. If they want to move it, they can maybe put a $0 price on it or something to demolish it and take it away. Realistically, only one of the houses is probably going to be moved, if it would be. The other two are, a two-story house becomes very expensive to move.
Okay, any more questions on it? I suppose we're gonna have to look for a motion.
Yep, I'll make that motion.
Jan,
I'll second that.
Dave? Any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Favor has it. Is that it, guys? Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, guys.
Well, we're at number 8, Police Department Report. Chief Chris Bush.
All right, it's quite lengthy because I haven't been here for a while, so we go right down that list, that piece of paper I gave you. Just talks about the month of July. The first one is just talking about the city of Cold Spring. In July, we had 360 calls in Cold Spring, 21 of those being medicals, 11 suspicious vehicles, people, 18 ordinance violations. That has a lot to do with cars being parked, people's yards that aren't up to date, trash, just various ordinances. This is kind of that time of year that works well to stay on people on that. So that's a very high number for a month, and that's just because we're kind of working on those in July. 185 traffic stops, 116 warnings, 131 citations during those stops, and 125 calls of service, various things. Of those traffic stops, there was eight alcohol-related things, one being a DWI, and then we had 10 drug-related offenses that occurred in Cold Spring. And then during one of those drug offenses, there was a vehicle and United States currency seized that we use in the drug forfeiture account. And then number 2 is just comparing the first 7 months of 14 and 15. And if you look at that, I broke that down, like here, January of 14 is not highlighted, if you notice that. It's not bold. So then the 15 would be and goes right down the list. Let's see here. Basically, in 2014, in the first 7 months, there was 1,400 calls, if you see that. This year, there was 2,163, so that's an increase of 763. To kind of give you an idea, in 2013, in total, we had 2,074 calls in the entire year for Cold Spring. So obviously, in July already, we were well above that number, to kind of give you an idea. Then number 3 talks briefly about Richmond. In Richmond in July, there's 106 calls. July is one of their busier months because of River Lake days, and obviously the resort people are up and stuff. So that's quite a high number for Richmond. And there again, we have 4 medicals, 4 suspicious vehicles, people reports, 51 traffic stops, 47 warnings during those stops, and 35 citations. And then we had 47 calls for service. So that's quite high. 3 alcohol violations in those traffic stops, one of those being a DUI, and then we had 2 drug-related things in the city of Richmond during that time. Then I also did that. If you took the first 7 months in Richmond, we had 646 calls. That's an increase of 158 calls. In 2013, it's not on your paper, but in 2013, the whole year, they had like 663 calls. So there again, we're quite up there. And the main reason for that is no longer having Wakefield Township. So by doing that, it brings our fine revenues and everything else up. So that does help the city of Cold Spring and Richmond that way. Number 4, the month of July, like outside city limits, let's say we work TZD in St. Cloud, Wakefield Township, so forth. There was 89 traffic stops and I put in there mainly from that TZD shifts. And then we did 4 canine assists, and some of the officers, including myself, we had done 2 search warrants, one being in Sartell and one being in Little Falls. That involved a bunch of audio stuff that was broken out of a business, and we recovered several of those items and made several arrests, so that's what we covered in that month. Number 5, October 23rd, Officer Baumgartner and I went to the city of Aiken, and we patrolled the streets for the city of Aiken so they could go to the investigator's funeral. So we did that day. Number 6, the 28th, we did a canine sniff at the Recorder High School where we used Abby and Riley. We try to do those quarterly, so every couple months the school asks us to come up there and run the dogs through the lockers. People have to be aware, if you're watching this, that we typically don't have a great success rate when people say, why do we find a lot of stuff in the lockers? The main reason is the kids know that at any point they can go through their lockers. So most of the time it's either on them, being like in their shoes or various other places, or it's in their vehicles. And then what we do is we call it plain view, where we walk the parking lot looking for guns, knives, ammunition, paraphernalia, things like that. So that's the main way we find stuff, is walking through the parking lots looking in plain view, which is legal. So number 7, on the 29th, they had a Halloween party up at the nursing home, and they had it for special needs kids, and the police department had a booth up there passing out coloring books, crayons, candy, various things like that. So a bunch of us did that. Then we had our kids dress up in costumes, and they enjoyed that too. So good reason to wear their costume. On number 8, October 3rd, Abby and I conducted 2 separate canine demonstrations for 100 third grade students. That was in the city of Litchfield. They had asked me to come down there. So I did 2 separate canine demos on the 30th. January 1st, that's number 9. During this year's budget, we talked about that float spot. And I posted the position to the full-time officers. And the officer, we only had one person that was interested, and that was Spoden, Jason Spoden. So he has been here. Let me see, I have it here somewhere. Let's see. He's been with the city of Cold Spring since February of 2013, but prior to that, he worked in the state, some county in North Dakota for a while, and then he has some experience with a city south of here. So he has some experience there. So it would be something that I would like to request that he be appointed to that position on January 1st, and then once his road spot, if he's taking this float spot, right? This investigator float spot, then we'd in fact have a spot open on the road. And the last time we hired, that was with Anita, if you guys know who Anita is. She and Chad Vogt applied for that position, and that was within less than a year that we filled that position. And in the past, what we've done is, if it's been within that year, we take somebody off that list. So that's kind of where that stands. So I don't know if you guys want to have that discussion tonight. It's not too far down the road. It's kind of nice to have the schedule printed, a couple months in advance. So we're already in the middle of November. So this is something that's going to happen a month and a half from now. So I don't know if that's something you guys are interested in having that discussion, or how you want to do that.
Do we need to put it on the agenda for the next meeting, so we can
Okay,
give you
that's
approvals
fine.
at the next meeting?
Okay, perfect. Excellent.
At
Okay.
least now we all have the heads up, and then.
Yeah, so that's kind of how that is, and that's how I came to that. Anita's been here full-time, 5 months, something like that, maybe? It's not been it's within less than a year. So like I say, with the last, yeah, you were there.
Yep.
Somebody else was supposed to be there, but Jamie showed up. We won't mention names of the other person that was supposed to be there for the interviews, but Jamie was there, and like I say, Chad, he currently lives in Richmond. He's got kids, that go to school and all that stuff around here, so. And he fills in a vast amount of hours currently when we need somebody to work, so he's working quite well. Let's see, number 10. Number 10 is, I'm going to request that we keep 2 dogs, so once Abby is completely retired, that we would ask for donations, maybe get started on that, so we can keep 2 dogs on, so it'd be 2 different shifts. So we'd have a dog pretty much on all the time. that if you look at a police canine, it's one of the only things that actually is, that brings in money for, like, the City of Cold Springs Police Department. You know, it generates money when a traffic stop is occurring. The dog goes around the car, gives us probable cause, we search that vehicle, we find drugs in it, we're able to take that car and take their cash. So it is a very valuable asset. The last dog, Riley, we've got through donations, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to do here. You know, so before I go out and ask businesses and community people that, hey, we're gonna start raising money for a dog, you know, I'd like to have at least your blessing to say this, not that we start and you guys decide that we don't need one either.
How long do you think Abby's going to stay working?
You know, she's doing well, but there again, she's, the 26th of May would be her birthday. So she's gonna be 11, you know what I mean? She's about 75, 80 pounds. You know, she's a lab. So I don't know if you know anything about labs. They typically don't last much more, 12 would be a very old dog. You know what I mean? Just a family dog. You know what I mean? She's gonna have to be able to certify, you know, all these things. So let's say the best case scenario is she certifies once more. So that'll give her the 1 extra year. And by that would give us more time to gather that money. Because the last time that when we went to get Riley, we were very fortunate to have Cold Spring, you know, donate a large amount of that. Schultz's donate a large amount. So we're very lucky that way. And I'm not saying that won't happen again, but I'm also saying if it does take us 8 months or whatever to collect that, you know, the donations, I'd rather take our time than be scrambling. You know, let's say you do say, yeah, that's great. And let's say 5 months on the road, Abby passes away or something, you know, gosh forbid. At least we could have some money set aside, and then we do have some drug forfeiture money, and hopefully that keeps building up, you know, so we can make that purchase. There again, we did send Riley through some more training to see if he could become an apprehension dog, and that did not pan out. I was kind of hoping, I don't know if you heard all that stuff that was happening in Paynesville a few months ago, where they're looking for that guy. I personally didn't think we needed an apprehension dog, you know, when we got Riley. It was kind of one of those things, it would be nice, but we really don't need it, and it's a lot more expensive, you know, to get an apprehension dog. You need more equipment, you know, like the bite sleeve and all these things, so the expense is much more than just a drug dog. Back when they were looking for that guy a few months ago in Paynesville, they thought he was armed and he's dangerous and all this stuff. What made me very uncomfortable was they called for Jason to come and help with his dog. You know, and his dog not being an apprehension dog, and you know, and he's in the woods with looking for this guy. If he comes upon this person, what's going to happen? The dog's going to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like putting someone's life in danger, you know what I mean, versus having a dog that's actually going to protect you, you know. So I am kind of leaning at a drug/apprehension dog as this next one. So it'd be more expensive, and that's another reason to get started on donations now, because the last dog was it $9,500? Does that sound right off the top of my head? $9,500 for just a drug dog. So that's that expense. So if you're talking an apprehension dog, that's a dog that there's more qualities in that dog. You know what I'm saying? They have to be, you know, like in a dark room, being willing to walk down dark stairs. You know, all these certain things that maybe, you know, like for example, Riley's not capable, not willing to do. You see what I'm saying? So the expense will definitely be more than $9,500. I'm not going to lie about that. You know, I mean, it's just one of those things. You know, if you're looking for just a duck dog, you know, it's going to cost you this. If you're looking for a duck dog / pheasant hunting dog, it's going to be more. So the more things you want this dog to do, the more the expense will be there. So that's kind of why I'm hoping, if we agreed that yes, it'd be nice to have 2 dogs around. For example, right now, Abby and I work during the day, so there's numerous times that we get called to, let's say, St. Cloud or another city because they know we have that dog working, you know. If it wouldn't be for Abby working during the day, there is no dog. You know what I mean? They're all assigned to work nights and stuff. So it would be nice to have, let's say, an afternoon dog and a midnight dog. So there'd be way more chances of, let's say the guys working here would need a dog, they have a dog. If someone else needs a dog, there's a much better chance that there is a dog on. And when we do like the high school searches and stuff, I mean, we're talking hundreds of lockers. You know what I mean? So for the ability to have one dog search the whole entire school, that's not possible. You know, so it is a plus having 2 dogs. Obviously, there's an expense, you know, by having 2 dogs. You know, the food and all this, but The good thing is they could share a car. We still do that, you know what I mean? So that would be the expense. You won't have to worry about having a second canine, squad car that is. Because there again, those are very expensive to keep on the road. So that's one of the things I brought up tonight. Like I say, if you guys want to stay with 2 dogs, it would be nice to get started on getting the donations now. We had help Way Park here a few months ago getting some money. Some of the Cold Spring officers donated their time and stuff and went to a fundraiser for them. And I think they're up to like $15,000 already, that they're saving up for a dog. So it's one of those things where it'd be nice not to have to push, you know what I mean, to get that money like we did with Riley. That was several phone calls in a short period of time, hopefully to get that cash, you know what I mean, to make that purchase that when we got that dog. So that's where that's at. So yeah, to say how long Abby's gonna work, I'd love to be able to tell you, she's got 8 months to go, or how that is.
Yeah.
A dog's hips could go and then they're done, that very easily. So,
But you're hoping for about a year?
I'm hoping for a year, and like I say, with that year would be enough time to, get that donations going, and that's the thing too. I'm not talking donations just for the dog. Like I said before, the bite sleeve, we're gonna have to purchase some equipment for that too. So it's not that we'd be trying to get donations for just a dog. It would be a dog, a bite sleeve, a door that pops, with you have like a remote on your keychain. So let's say you're on a traffic stop and the things start going bad. You pop it, the dog comes out, you know what I mean, and can actually protect you. So those kind of expenses. Not that that equipment is expensive all in one piece, but when you add it all together, it's going to be several $1,000s for the equipment alone, And there again, there aren't a lot of bite dogs out there. So it would be a huge asset for not just Cold Spring, for anybody that has a business that's getting broke into, or you're chasing an armed suspect, or all these other things. I don't want to send Jason in the woods, after a guy that God only knows what he's going to do when he does come across this person. And that's what changed my mind, was up in Painesville, like, this is dumb. You know what I mean? We should not be in this woods with a dog that's not going to apprehend somebody when he does find him. So it made me very uncomfortable sending Jason in there, because it was just like, it's just not safe for anybody. I don't want to get someone hurt after me telling them, yeah, go in the woods and find this guy, and then they end up finding him, and the worst case scenario happens. So that's kind of what changed my mind on that part of it. And Jason's also said that, if we do get an apprehension dog, he'd be more than willing to handle that dog. His wife comes from a family, that her dad was a cop in Way Park. He had an apprehension dog. So, they do have, as a family, have history with that style of dog. So that's a positive thing too, versus just trying to find somebody that's going to handle that dog too. That hurdle's already been taken care of. And then we still have Riley. That we just have to pass that off to another handler. The drug dog, Riley. Because he's not going to work as a bite dog. They sent him to the training here, I think like a month ago, and the guy that we got it from, and he didn't do well. With the dark stares, and there's certain things that you have to find a quality for a dog, and to get a dog to bite, that's not a quality a dog wants to do typically. I know there's dogs out there that bite, but that's an uncontrollable dog. That's not what you're looking for. You want a dog that bites and releases. That's the type of dog you're looking for. So there again, I don't know if you want to bring that up in the next council meeting, or.
Yeah, I was thinking that same time we bring the other, we can put that on too. Then we got time to think about it.
Yeah, right, definitely. So that is that. And I have just a few more things. I know I always do this, but a few more things have happened since I wrote that up. Just a couple things. Rockville, they had their graduation, their DARE graduation. And Abby and I did that demo today in Rockville. On Thursday, Richmond has their DARE graduation, so Abby and I will be there for their DARE graduation. And then one more thing, this is the important one. October 30th, and that's why it's not in here, because it happened after I wrote this up. October 30th, we did an alcohol and tobacco compliance check with all the businesses in Cold Spring and Richmond. So any business that sells tobacco, we send someone in there to try buying cigarettes. Any place that sells alcohol, we send someone under, obviously 21, to try buying alcohol. The great thing was everyone passed the alcohol part, so we have no problems with that. That's including like Teal's Liquor, the bars, all those places. The bad news is that, two for Cold Spring failed the tobacco, okay? And that would be Teal's grocery store. They sold someone that was under 18 tobacco, and Super America in Cold Spring. And I've already spoke to both the managers of Teals, and I spoke to the owner of Super America, and two things. The person that sold the tobacco at Super America is no longer employed there. So, I mean, that kind of resolved itself. You see what I'm saying? And the one at Teals, they sat down with anybody that's involved with a cash register. They sat them down and went over their policies and procedures of selling not just alcohol, but tobacco and all this. So I don't personally think, as a city, we should have any consequences for them, because I've never heard of it. It's to say that those two would have failed, I would have never guessed that. There was a couple that was like, they're gonna fail, and they didn't fail, so that's great, you know what I'm saying? So, there again, it's up to the council if you want to have some kind of consequence. I personally think they're dealing with themselves. It's one of those things.
In the situation like this, when you do the compliance check, if someone does, like in this situation, you say you issue them a warning or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Do you do another random one sooner than waiting?
That's a great question. I should back up. There was consequences that night, okay? The consequences that night were the employees did get a citation. Okay, so to say that there was no consequences, there was. So let me back up. The people that sold the tobacco products were issued a citation for selling tobacco. All right, so they do have a fine or whatever that's going to be associated with. But yeah, so there's two consequences. One would be the business, one would be this person. So I want to make that clear. They did get a ticket that night. The employee did. But to say that we're going to go and check Teals and Super America more frequently, probably not. If we're going to go through the trouble, because it is a lot of work to line up somebody. 2 officers have to be, present. It's to line up. So if we're gonna, and we do them, but to say that we're gonna go 6 months, and do Teals and Super America, no. We're probably gonna do all of them again. We go do it. It's one of those things, and two, it is only fair. You know what I'm saying? But no, to say that we're just gonna do those two, and then the other one is in Richmond that failed, no, would more than likely do them all over again. And like I told the businesses, it's just one of those things where, it's probably a good thing that we're going to do it more often. You just tell your employees, this could be the next time. Maybe they're more prone to check, as often as they do. I have never heard of Teals or Super America. Never. You will get complaints about, parents will be like, yeah, I know Johnny's bought cigarettes from blankety blank. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I can kind of sort of believe that. You know what I'm saying? But we haven't had zero troubles with either one of these places. You know what I mean? Before this, I've never seen or had anybody come to me and say, yeah, I think the girl's working or the guy's working at the checkout counter, at Teals is selling tobacco, or anything like that. That's typically where the manager works. You know what I mean? So there again, I think it was just, I hate to say dumb luck, that they got somebody selling that, It's one of those things where it could happen. But, I wish it didn't happen, but I'm very glad it wasn't alcohol. Not saying tobacco is great, but, we do have more of an alcohol issue, I personally believe, here than tobacco. Not saying kids aren't smoking cigarettes, but there's an awful lot of drinking going on. Everybody knows that, so that is that. And like I said, I know that wasn't on your agenda, but I thought I'd bring it up to your attention now, so that's that.
And you said there was one that failed in Richmond?
Yeah,
2 in Cold Spring, 1 in Richmond?
Southside,
Okay.
yeah. And Richmond's taking care of it. They did the same thing as Teals. They pulled all their employees. They got a big sticky note now, or a laminated note at the cash register. You better be checking if they're under 26 or whatever they have. So, they're doing something too. And there again, I'd say if they fail again, then bring it up again. Then look at something,
Yeah.
So that's that.
Anything else, council?
No?
One quick question.
Yeah.
On the drug-related violations, are you able to comment on what kind of drugs?
Off the top of my head, I don't know which drugs happened in July, but I can tell you that that in the last couple of years, ever since some of these states have become legalized, recreational stuff, we've seen a lot more larger quantities of marijuana, for example. And, I made, 1,600 drug arrests in my career. I would say in the last 6 months, I've seen heroin like 4 times. So, not that we have heroin a lot here, but there again, out of all those arrests, not seeing it for all these years, and all of a sudden now heroin popping up, it's going to become more common, mark my words. You got people that are addicted to these pills and stuff. When they can't get their pills, they do other stuff, and heroin seems to be one of those things they do. And we've been seeing, a decent amount of methamphetamine too. There again, when you have large quantities of marijuana, large, methamphetamine, what do you find? You find cash. And I know we don't need to be a generating revenue type thing, but, dogs do wonders. There again, not too many guys are gonna let you in their car when they know they got stuff in there. When you got that dog right there, Johnny, on the spot, the dog goes around that car, sits on it, they could tell you no until they're blue in the face. It's not gonna change anything. You're going in that car. That's the beauty of the thing. The judges believe a dog before they believe an officer, if you can believe that. So, dogs are huge assets. There is no doubt about it. If you look at all the stuff that's in the Tahoe, right? All that stuff is generated through drug revenue. I can't think of too many departments that have a fully equipped squad car that was paid through by drug revenue. It's pretty much unheard of. So, That's kind of how that stands. Anything else?
Any more? We got it?
Thanks, Manny.
Thank you, Mr. Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Number 9 is City Administrator's Report. Chris?
Well, most of the things I have on mine are things you've heard at previous meetings and asked me to bring back. So first one we talked about at the last meeting, the housing study and the Initiative Foundation grant. We talked about, there's been some question if we wanted to go ahead with it, but we're at the point where we kind of need to make a decision on whether to apply for the grant. And you guys had asked me at the last meeting to check with Initiative Foundation as to whether we could hold off. And they basically said they won't hold the money for us, but if we've been approved, it's favorable that we would almost for sure get approved again, whether it's a year or two.
Oh, okay.
So I personally feel it would be fine if we, in terms of the grant, if we wanted to wait a year or two or whatever. So, but we should be getting back to them soon. They're kind of waiting to find out, because at this point, they were approved, but if not, they'll approve somebody else for that
They'll
money.
approve somebody else for it, okay.
Yeah.
I think we should wait too.
Table it?
I really
Or
think.
leave
At
it?
this point, I'm in favor of waiting on the housing study.
Well, Tammy and I are on the EDA, and we talked about it on the EDA, and we were talking about this year, and then I was asking at the meeting, is there a light, medium, and heavy duty? Is there like maybe a housing study as just a preliminary study, instead of a real...
Full-blown?
Yeah, and as to spend a lot of money on that, we talked about that, and of course, we're supposed to bring that up to the council, what they thought is, but we're leaving that up to you. But I think in the future, for my ideas, we have to do something, because more and more are going to, builders and stuff will come to the city and ask them, what kind of building should we build, or for who should we build, so I don't think we should let this go, but for now, we can just, till the next time, as Roy Rogers would say, till the next time.
Yeah.
Should we do that?
I think so.
We need a motion?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Put it back up on the budget agenda for next year again?
Yeah,
Okay.
would be a good time to do it again. Check into it anyway.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Next thing is the driveway width thing. When we talked about it last time, you'd asked me to just kind of put something together with some suggestions. So I did this ordinance. This is just a proposal. I'm not even sure if this would be the exact wording, but I wrote this kind of, just put something together as an example of what we would do. And I just put it right in with the building permit section where it says, if you're gonna build, you need a permit. This says if you're gonna pour a driveway, you would need a permit. The fee, we would just put right in our fee schedule, and we do adopt that every year in January. So if we wanna go through and adopt this, we can do this in December and adopt the fee right with our schedule and start it in January.
So we should keep an eye out on it. Keep an eye on the construction and on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm just
And
looking
if we're
for,
watching it, then maybe all those crazy things will go away too, right?
hopefully.
Yeah.
But are you in favor of this, and should I go ahead and publish this public hearing notice and bring this up at a meeting in December then? Is that the direction you want to go with it?
I'm in favor of putting the permit in place so that we can be on the front end and be proactive
Yes.
versus.
Yes.
I agree.
I agree too, yeah. Yeah, go ahead with that.
Okay.
And then with the reconstruction of a driveway?
Yeah, the permit would be for anytime you pour a driveway, whether it's a
New or
reconstruction.
replacement.
Yep.
Okay.
And any kind of driveway, tar, cement. And then the other thing was you had talked about a deposit. And if you read my memo, I had just some thoughts I had on it. We already take $1,000 for the erosion deposit, and we talked about $500 for this. And my suggestion would be to reduce the erosion one. I think we've never kept more than a couple hundred anyways, and we haven't done that in over 5 years. I think it served its purpose. When it first started, we were doing that, and people finally just figured it out, what they had to do. So I would recommend, and again, we won't have to do this till January, but in January 1st, if we want to reduce that one, then that would make this driveway one, maybe we could up this to 1,000, and then it wouldn't hurt so bad.
Or if we do them both at a 500, it would
Do 'em
equal the
both, yeah.
1,000 they're doing now.
We could-
I mean, either,
Yeah.
it's an option to talk
I
about,
only
Good idea.
suggested the 1,000 because, a couple people said, well, that's not much,
to bust out concrete or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
so, but, 500's fine with me too, if you guys
I
would
mean,
rather
that's
do
just
that.
an option, and we don't have to decide that now, but
Yep.
it's,
So,
And a lot of times this occurs only most of the time during new construction, right? Is what the
that's what
issue
the
is.
problems have been, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep. Okay, I'll bring that back to a different meeting.
all right.
And then lastly, Bob couldn't be here tonight, but he had asked me to put on the agenda to discuss moving forward with hiring the architect to look at remodeling City Hall. But in the same breath, he had asked me well, not me, just actually asked all of us a while back. If you remember, you all saw an email from him with some of his ideas, and he had said, have planning commission look at that. And Dave and Jan, you guys were both at the last planning meeting. Unfortunately, we had a small attendance at that meeting, so it was the feelings of the planning commission to talk about it again this
to
month,
revisit it, yeah.
which is
Yeah.
next week, I think. So I'm not sure how you want to.
At this point, we're not ready to make a
No,
recommendation on
no,
that
absolutely
yet.
not.
You want
So,
to wait
But we
for.
budgeted for 2016 for a study, right?
right,
Yep.
Okay.
yep. But at this point, no, we're not ready to pull the trigger on it. One, we don't know space needs, requirements, the library didn't give those yet, so pull the trigger, I'm in hunting mode, can't help it.
So you're thinking maybe just wait until we get planning's recommendation
Right.
and then go from
Yep,
there?
exactly.
Okay. Then I'll bring that back up whenever we get to that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Anything
all I
else,
have.
Chris?
No.
Take care of it. All right, we're on number 10. I guess the city, we're going to pay some bills. To review and accept the payment of accounts payable according to the list and the supplement list presented by the city staff. Everybody has had a look at it.
Yep,
All right, I'm looking for a motion then.
I'll make that motion.
Jan?
I'll second it.
Hey, any questions on it? Otherwise, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Favor has it. Number 11, general questions and comments from the city council or the administrators. Jamie, should we start with you or should we start with somebody else?
I have no comments.
Okay?
I have no
Mr. Dave?
comments either.
Nothing?
No.
Okay, I don't either. Chris? And I guess the 12er is a motion, looking for on that, number 12.
I'll make that motion.
Dave?
Second.
Jamie? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against? We have that.